Alright guys, today we're going to do a combination thing. It's going to be a review of this Pro-Lok 4-piece follower set. I got this one from Lockpick Shop for $39.95, but we're going to talk about followers in general because there's a lot of newbies out there asking questions lately about, which follower do I need, what are the different ends for, how do I use them, and we're going to go over all that stuff. In researching this, getting ready, and before I chose this set actually, I went around to different websites, taking a look, and I can understand why there's so much confusion. Because they don't tell you the thicknesses or the diameters of them. They just say, if you're going to pick a Schlage, you need this one. If you're going to pick a Quickset, you need this one. And before you know it, you got like 10 followers, and you're into it for $100. And that's crazy talk. Fellas, you need 3 different diameters, and all 3 are in this kit. Okay, so let's talk about the Prolock. As I said, 4-piece. They are solid aluminum, $39.95. Solid aluminum, and they're also anodized, different colors. So if they're on your workbench, it's very easy to pick out which one you need. So this purple one is what I call the small diameter. It's actually 0.395 inches, which works out to 9.96 millimeters in thickness. This is a great little follower for, say, American padlocks, or American cores, masters, and also some of the Chinese locks. So if those are the only locks you pick, you can get away with just getting this one. If you pick other locks, and these are called the universal. These measure, or I call them the medium, 0.495 inches, which is 12.52 millimeters in diameter. And you'll notice we have different ends. On the small one, we had what I call the flat end, and then the cutout. And then we also have, actually on 2 of these, we have cutouts on one end, but the others have different end pieces. We have the half moon and the hollow with the fin cutout. And I'll show you how to use these in just a few minutes. And then the thick one, what I call the large, is, now this is again confusing. This particular one is 0.555 inches, which is 14.09 millimeters. You see these advertised anywhere from 0.59 inches up to 0.555. It really, guys, it's not that much, 5 thousandths of an inch thickness. This one works perfectly for things like if you're going to be picking Corbin locks or some of the older locks that have the larger cores, this is what you need. Again, 2 cutouts. You got the hollowed out end, and then you get the U-cut end. All right, how do we use these things? Well, okay, here, this will make it a little bit easier, I think. I've got a cutout. This is one of Sparrow's locks. Makes it really easy to see what's going on inside. And you guys know that if we pick a lock or if we turn that key and then we start pulling out the core, we all learned this the hard way, usually that stuff will, there we go, I hadn't pulled them quite far enough, pop right down inside of there like that. It's hard to see with the glare here, but that's what happens. And then we get a handful of driver pins and springs, and we don't know where they went. So we want to prevent that. Now, it is possible to look in the back of the lock and slowly retract that core and allow them to pop up and catch them with a pair of tweezers. But then putting it back together becomes a little bit more of a problem, and it's also a little bit of a hassle because now you've got to slide your finger to keep those key pins from popping out. Instead, what you want to do is find the correct diameter. This being, let's see, that would be a Schlage key. We're looking for a Schlage thickness. We want a follower that will fit flush along the top so that there's no gap. If I tried to turn it like that and I pushed it in there, those pins would pop down in the gap and we'd be back in the same situation. If we orient it like that and then we slide it in there, it'll prevent those pins from falling down. There's one more thing to take a look at, and that is the hollow cut on the back of the tailpiece. If you orient it perfectly, like I tend to do, I turn it 90 degrees, now you'll notice it lines up with that little slot. And that would be bad because then the pins are going to pop down in there and the follower's not going to help us. So you want to kind of orient it. You can either turn it more than 90 degrees like that, or you can turn it slightly less just so that slot is not lined up. I'm going to turn it slightly more, and then you put your follower on there. Make sure your pins are pointed like that and slide it just like that. Now you've kept your key pins and you've kept those from popping out. Now you can turn it over, push this out, and pull those pins out one at a time. Likewise, when you want to put it back, again, line it up and slide it right in there. Piece of cake. followers can really save you a lot of time. There are other situations. Let's take a look at this one. This is a little Medico. There are no pins in this one, but it's a Medico, and this is fairly typical of the tailpiece. You notice this tailpiece is a little bit weird. It's going to be the standard diameter, but you notice no matter how we turn this, that cutout is going to allow those pins to drop down in that 1/4 inch gap right there. No matter how you turn this, you're going to get that gap. So then we got to look at how else can we get around that, and that's what the hollow end is for. You don't use it very often, but you definitely need it for locks like this. It fits on there. Let me follow it right in the right diameter here. Fits on there just like that. It's a perfect diameter for the Medico, and it slides in there just like so. On some Schlags, it works exactly the same way, except there's a little fin machined on the top of the actuator. And that's what that cutout is for. You slide that over the fin, and again, got the lock. Nothing pops out in your hand. And then lastly, we have kind of a challenging. This is an older core. This came to me as a challenge lock quite some time ago. You notice there's a really weird looking tailpiece on it. It's angled. We also have the gap to worry about. I'm not worried about the gap right now. I'm worried about that. If we try to take a flat end, you'll notice, come on baby, focus for me. You notice when we slide it in there, we have that huge gap. Likewise, if we take our hollow end and slide on there, you notice it doesn't quite work right. It still leaves a gap for those pins, particularly if we got T-pins. They're going to get stuck in there. So when you're facing something like this, grab yourself a shim, like that. Push the shim, just slide it in the top. You're not trying to push the pins out of your way. You're using that shim to bridge that gap. So now when you slide this on there, hold the shim with your fingertip, and then you can slide it right in there. The gap is bridged by the shim, and it slides right out. Very cool. So there you go. This is the Pro-Lok 4-piece follower kit, $39.95. Like I said, I got a Lockpick Shop, which by the way is one of our advertisers, and they give us a tribal discount. If you're interested in this, check it out. Anyway, fellas, thanks for your time. Stay safe, stay legal. If you'd like to win this, go to that website. In the middle of the page is a giant purple button that says free giveaway. This is what you'll be winning this week, guys. Thanks for your time.